Hey, Lee Wolf here. Welcome to Game Face Monday. We are live. Hope everyone had a great weekend. As always, Mr. Richie Bello has me sitting by his side, and we have back on the show today Jeff Spring, who's the CTO and a trainer over at VinSight. Always love to have them on the show. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Awesome. And so we hear you had a camping excursion this weekend, Jeff?
I did. Took the kids 2 days, really close to my house, but it was really fun. Rained a little bit, but everybody had a great time.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a big camper myself. The kids love it, and like we were saying earlier, it's a great way to disconnect. And Richie really loves getting in a tent and getting out there and roughing it with me, right?
Yeah, I've never been on a tent in my entire life, and where I used to camp, you don't want to go, which means Times Square, Canarsie, Brooklyn, and all that kind of stuff.
Central Islip, yeah.
There's not camping there.
You know, catching fish with your bare hands?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, you know.
But I would love to get that experience from one of you guys.
Right.
All right. Remember you said that. All right. Well, just before we get rolling on the show here, we're going to break away quick with a message from Shop Smart Autos on our VIN retention report.
Look, you can keep telling your sales staff to make more calls day after day, but trying to sell more vehicles and retain customers with dirty data clogging your DMS and CDP, well, it's like trying to concentrate in a messy office. It's frustrating, chaotic, and let's be honest, a little embarrassing. But now with the SSA VIN retention report, you can clean up your DMS and CDP in no time. It's the ultimate tool to tidy up your data and pinpoint the customers you need to target. Reclaim those lost opportunities. Win back the customers you thought were gone. And boost your sales with laser-sharp precision. The SSA VIN retention report helps you focus on the right customers at the right time with the right messages. Don't let dirty data hold you back. Clean it up, win them back, and drive success with the SSA VIN retention report from Shop Smart Autos. Inspect what you expect.
All right. You're going to want to stick around today because we have an all-new retention minute with JP coming up later on in the show. But Mr. Spring, how are things going over at VinSight? What's the latest and greatest?
Things are going great. A couple of things, latest and greatest. Number one, we're getting through our pilot period with Don Brown, our pilot dealer for IVIN, and that's been going great. Another thing that the opportunity with the Don Brown dealership brought us was a very close relationship with DriveCentric. So we put together an integration with DriveCentric that allows us to inject notes and tasks when intent is detected, and when users go through service scheduling processes, we can make sure the BDC is aware within the CRM. So
wow,
that integration has been has come online, and we're getting ready for more. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff with IVIN lately, and I have some stuff to talk about. Retention changes, meaning referral program. We have a new referral program that we've designed, and we're going to use the fact that IVIN is a native mobile app to be able to search through the user's contacts right on the phone and allow them to choose folks that they can share referral incentives with. And using QR codes, we can tie that referral back to the dealership and make sure that when they come into the dealership, everybody knows that it's a referral and that they need to be greeted there in the service drive or greeted with a free test drive, a test drive incentive. And so tying the referral program together for us is an important next step, and tying that into the technology we have available with IVIN is kind of the next upgrade that we're working on now.
Wow. Awesome. And in general, VinSight has like, what is it, like an 80% attach rate? Is that the number correct?
Yeah, 80% of folks go into their VinSight for the first time. And that's really because it's a big purchase and it's an exciting moment. And VinSight allows sales agents to capture a photo of the triumphant moment that the car is delivered. And that photo is pretty sticky. I mean, people want to share it.
Yeah.
We share it, and we share it on behalf of the dealer. And then that photo becomes a part of the experiences that we send. So we'll send that photo via SMS, via email. And that seeing themselves in the photo really attracts people to get in and see what this resource has to offer.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. And then they're coming back like 1.3 times monthly?
Per month, yeah.
A month. Yeah, that's pretty intense. I mean, I would say 95% of all the apps in my phone, I download them and I'm annoyed immediately and I don't go back. So that's pretty good that,
what we did here, we've been working with VinSight and retention for years. And what we did was we added IVIN as an assistant, a digital assistant for vehicle ownership to increase retention over time. And we want to provide a lot of value because we notice that when you provide real value, people don't just tolerate brand contact from you. They welcome it because it's familiar and they trust it.
There's a big difference. Welcoming and tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's see. So IVIN itself, two senses here. One, when a dealership wants to add VinSight to their current situation with all their current software tools, what kind of, and I know we've covered this before, but a lot of times we have new listeners and viewers. What kind of time frame does it take to get things up and running? And then now, what about IVIN? Is that more of like get VinSight up and running, plug IVIN in after? Is it a package deal? How does that all?
Yeah, good point. So we use Dealer Vault as integration service to get easy and quick access to all EMS systems. So getting on Dealer Vault is the act of sending permission via email. Authenticom is a company that dealers have worked with for a long time. They've been around for a long time, and dealers are very familiar with them. And so getting onto our platform is a matter of giving us permission with that data feed. And then we have JP, who JP understands the onboarding process, really familiar. He's really familiar with every part of it. And he knows which decisions we need from the dealership. So we need to know what kind of incentives they're offering for referrals. And we need to know where they want key communications routed, like sales managers and general managers and folks like that. The other part, if a dealer would like to use our Facebook service, we give the dealership access to an administrative console where they just log into their Facebook account on their own without our guidance and permiss our app or give our app permission to operate on their Facebook page. So things that can take maybe 30 minutes, but to exchange some of the information, JP works with people directly.
Okay.
Really directly and really quickly. So it's easy for us to get a dealership on within a week, especially if we can get some of the decisions from them as fast as possible. And let me address the other thing that you said, which is, does IVIN come along with VinSight, and is it a second installation or configuration? And the answer to that is it's not any additional configuration. There's no difference from our side what the customer can experience. They can experience VinSight on the web, and that can be the only way they experience VinSight if they choose. Because let's face it, not everybody does download a native mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're offering a really compelling ownership experience, and people want to interact with cutting edge technology that knows everything about their deal, their vehicle, and the ownership experience. And this is going to be compelling for a large segment of the audience, but some are going to want to remain on the web. And when they remain on the web, they get a lot of value, and they're reminded that they can have the IVIN tool. So you don't have to download IVIN to get value from VinSite, but downloading IVIN is free to all VinSite customers or all of the dealership's customers, and they can experience it at any time that they want. And there's nothing additional that we need to do, or no additional information that we need to make sure their customers get that. We're going to drip on them a little bit about IVIN and the value of it,
Right.
and get them to download it. But if they choose not to, there's still a lot of value to be had.
Awesome. Yeah, Rich, what are your thoughts on all this? Easy to,
as everybody knows, that my father passed away, right? So I was there, and my sister had just bought a Hyundai, right? She leased it. And my cousins that I haven't seen in a long time, actually, Lee talked to one of them. He's a photographer, but my other cousins also bought cars. So I just showed them this. I said, so let me ask you a question. What has been your experience? Have you serviced a car yet? They says no, but my sister said I did have some noise in the car, and they're a pain in the ass, that family. Her and her husband, any little noise, they want to call the dealership. You know what I mean? Like if the dashboard makes noise or the glove box, forget it. So she says it was like really a problem getting through the dealership's phone call.
Yeah.
I said, do you have this? And I knew they didn't because it's not out there like that. I says, do you have this? And I says, go on here and say you got all kinds of problems or you want to speak to somebody or whatever. And she did. She said, wow, how can I get it? That's what she said. How could I get it? So I saw my family, you know, I don't see them a whole lot. I'm more trying to, you know, scale business and whatever. And I see my parents a lot though. And I saw my immediate family, my cousins that I haven't seen in years. And my sister, which I see quite often, but I didn't know she had just bought a car. They're always into that. So that was a good input that I got. I'm curious. I used to have focus groups and not virtually in-person focus group. Me and a guy named Dr. John. I'm curious if we set up a focus group in Colorado, right, of regular customers, a focus group, and bring in a focus group and ask them if it's okay if we could record it and all this stuff. I am curious how many customers have had these issues with calling a dealer, right? Not getting a hold of the dealer when they just bought a car and when that journey is, I'm curious, to learn more from the customer's perspective and help the dealer communicate a better product to the customers. Now, when CSI came out, one of the companies that came up with focus groups was the Polk company, because we worked with OEM, was always in that whole thing with the JD Powers focus groups and all that. So focus groups make a product much better than how we perceive it, because if the end user is retail automotive customers, you need that, right? So I'm curious. I know with the people that I've told that are not in the site that we are, that are family members, friends that I have, you know, cigar buddies that I have, you know, that are not in the car business, tell me like, oh, wow. You know? Like if Lee wouldn't be in this business with us, right? Or I wouldn't know Lee. I would go up to Lee and I would say, hey, Lee, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this? Just outside of the car business.
Sure.
Right.
If when I met him 7 or 8 years ago, which he didn't know me, he didn't know me from Adam, okay? And he wasn't in the car business. He was a great marketer with a company that they had. If I would have shown him that, he would have said, oh, wow, what the hell? He would have right away thought, well, the problem is the phone calls. Because he's got experience with cars in the customer perspective. When I send him out to a used car lot and he bought his Nissan, he remembers that the AC broke down and it was a nightmare to follow that up, right, Lee?
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was a terrible process. It was a nightmare. And everybody you talk to, whether they have a noise in their glove box, or the brakes are squeaking, or there's some noise going on.
Yep.
People don't have a great experience in service, by the way.
No.
Some do, but there's plenty of them that don't.
Yep.
Just so happens the one I've touched don't have a great experience in service, especially today with the phone calls. I can only imagine, like, Paragon Honda's a great organization. Brian does a great job. He's amazing. I bet you they got service issues.
Oh yeah, calling a car dealership.
When the higher the volume, the more successful you are in sales, the worse of a problem you got in service.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Trying to make a normal call to a dealership these days is a lot like calling Walmart or Target. You have a simple question. It's in the electronics department. They put you on hold. It sends it to the electronics department. If there's 2-3 people working there and they're busy, they don't pick up. So you get sent back to the front desk. You're sitting there again. I'm annoyed within a couple of minutes. It's unbelievable. And that's the way it is. You get bounced and bounced and bounced, and you may get nice people. You may not get nice people. But with IVIN, to be able to say, what's the situation with my warranty? Bam. Do you want an appointment? What kind of oil does my car take? Bam. Do you want to get an oil change?
You know what I would suggest? I would suggest that what we're looking for when we call the dealership is much more psychological than it is informational. Yes. We don't get some kind of genius, valuable information when we end up talking to somebody at the dealership. We get psychological confirmation that someone there is aware that we need help.
Right.
Okay. And the small answers to questions that we may have about a problem going on with our vehicle are not really going to help us that much. They're just going to give us a little bit of information about the problem. This is where artificial intelligence really has potential, because you ask it a question about a normal ownership experience topic, and it gives you the first 40% of the information that you're looking for, or the first 30%, or the first 60%. You can ask more questions if you want, but you're immediately satisfied that you have a little more information than you had before.
Right.
And that builds trust right away.
Right.
And then getting to that service appointment inside IVIN is an incentivized event. So what we do is we scrape the dealer's website for any service specials, so that if something they're questioning or asking about happens to also have a special attached to it, we're going to mention that there's a discount on this, because most people psychologically, even if they know they need something done, they would like to take the step of comparison shopping, seeing if they are getting a deal. Are they going to get a deal, or, not? And in this case, presenting that incentive immediately increases conversion.
Right.
So having the fastest way to schedule service, it makes this process really convenient, and it makes it psychologically satisfying, because these are the same psychological goals we're going after when we call the dealership. We just want human confirmation that we're important enough, and a little bit of information that makes us feel a little bit better in our stomach about this.
Right.
And then we want to schedule that appointment, but we don't want to do all that on the phone. We would like that confirmation to come, and we would like to get that appointment scheduled without needing to talk with anybody.
I'm glad you brought that up about the phone. It's much harder.
Yeah.
It's much harder on the phone. Why? Because you don't have guys like Richie anymore. The evolution has come into the text guys, right? You don't have people like Juan anymore. You don't have those old school people. You have more people like Lee. He communicates much better with a text. It drives me crazy. I just put please call me, because I can't. I really can't. I'm totally dyslexic. So these people text me, I says, I'm not interested, okay? But I communicate like that, but that's, that's old school, okay? Today, these kids are all communicating. The service advisors, including the service managers, they're all on a text or an email. So hold on a minute. Their way of communicating is through that.
Right.
We as a dealer are still thinking about the phone. oh, wait a minute, Mr. Dealer, there's a problem that we have.
Right.
Because you're thinking that is the best way. And with the new generation that we have, that ain't the best way. Oh, wait a minute, this is the best way.
Right.
But we don't even think about that because we say, well, the phones, we've always had the phones, right?
Right.
They can take care. Hey, Richie, they can take care of the phones. What are you kidding me? What are you kidding me, Richie? They can't take care of the phones. Oh, really? They can take care of the phones. Do you see who they are? They ain't like the phone people anymore. I want you to look at that process, and that's what a dealer should know. Not only is it a bad process, it's really even becomes even worse than a bad process because the end user that you have in your showroom is not that person.
Right.
That person has retired already from your store.
Yeah.
That person went bye-bye birdie, bye-bye.
You know what? I'd speculate with you, Richie, that OEMs are not going to be interested in putting a tool in the hands of the dealership that is going to solve the dealership's problem with their customer in the service drive, which is convenience. And each dealership can't create a mobile app that solves these problems for their customers.
Right.
So that's where VinSight comes in, where what we're trying to do is we're starting with bringing customers into the service drive by providing the fastest, most convenient, and most valuable way to do that, right?
Right.
But we're not going to stop there. We're gonna develop tools that allow us to inform the customer when that service is done and allow them to pay for the service. Because there are many other touch points that are going on in the service drive that consumers want expedited. Now, you can communicate to schedule the service appointment conveniently, but if you can't also be informed in the same app, that would be much more convenient to be informed when it's done and be able to pay for it. So that's the kind of thing that is on VinSight's roadmap for IVIN. We're trying to put a tool into the consumer's hands that really addresses how the consumer would like that interaction to go. Because it's really convenient to be able to communicate within IVIN, number one, to get the appointment started, but then as the appointment is going on. But then if you have to go inside and wait in a physical line just to click your card against the payment transaction machine, that's a broken experience. So what we've heard from everyone we've been talking with about IVIN is that what dealers need and what their consumers are clamoring for is more abilities to handle their interaction with the dealership at their own pace, in their own hands, on their own time.
Correct.
And so we're looking for opportunities throughout that experience process in the service drive to bring more of that functionality into IVIN and make their experience more streamlined.
Yeah, and on that note, let me break away for 1 minute to JP with his retention thoughts. And then I have a specific question actually about the service appointments.
Hello, JP Burkemper with VinSight here. Car dealers, you only get one dealer market area, your DMA, your territory. So if you're not actively retaining your customers, you're giving them away. Referrals, repeat buyers, first-time service visits, they all come down to timely, personal communication, not cookie-cutter templates, not batch and blast emails. So look at VinSight as your ticket to boosting service retention by owning the customer relationship, not outsourcing it to a CRM that treats everyone the same. We help you identify what matters, send the right message, and keep that customer coming back time and time again, not just for service, but for their next car. So want to know where you stand? Let's assess. No pressure, just clarity. Because at VinSight, you sell them and we keep them coming.
All right, that last word got cut off there, but it's we keep them coming back. So here's a question, and this is I don't know if it can go, if it's dealership to dealership or if it just works one way with IVIN or VinSight in general. Someone goes on, they say, what kind of oil does my car take? IVIN or VinSight comes back and says, oh, this is, it takes 4.5 quarts of XYZ. Would you like to schedule service, or we have a coupon right now going on the website for service. Would you like to get it rolling? Does that coupon get applied to the service right then and there, or are there different instructions that come with each? I know this sounds like not the most important question, but
no,
I was curious about that. Did
you're
they just
getting to how it works, right? You're getting to which parts are covered by IVIN and which parts need to be covered in the point of sale system. And the truth is, we are offering the discounts that dealerships offer to the public in the form of marketing and advertising for that service.
Okay.
But we are not directly connected to the POS system at the dealership, and therefore we're not creating the order for this service, nor are we directly interacting with the system that will end up writing the order that the customer will pay.
Okay. So that's really up to the dealership whether or not you have to print this coupon out, you have to, whatever it is.
And you know what? Much of what goes on in the dealership world is that there's no physical redemption necessary. Okay. Dealers are not asking consumers to print something regularly from their website. They're offering the special on their website for anyone who comes in during a particular period.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that's contrasted with, with methods that do require some kind of check-in. With our new referral strategy that we're implementing in IVIN right now, what we're going to be doing is providing referrals with a QR code, and then that QR code can be redeemed by sales agents who are using our VinSight Sales Agent mobile app.
Right.
So a referral walks in the door, and they're going to get a $50 to $100 gift card from Amazon for performing a test drive. And they walk in with the QR code, and our mobile app will scan that for a redemption. Right. So that's how our referral program works. It does involve redeeming a QR code or scanning a barcode to redeem it. But as far as the service scheduling process in IVIN, we are not providing any kind of code for redemption. And we're facilitating the scheduling process. That's how.
Right. Okay, yeah, that is cool. Yeah, because there's nothing better than when you and the point of my question initially is you jump on a website, you see a promotion, even if it's for movie tickets or an oil change, and it's $10 off or $5 off, and you show up and they're like, you didn't print it, gotcha, and you're like, why would you do that to me? It's like, I saw your promotion, I came in, I'm going to buy the popcorn, or I'm going to get the oil, I'm probably going to do my air filter, I'm probably going to keep going,
Yeah.
And they're like, 10%. No, you didn't think that. That's like, okay.
You know what, Lee? I think we're lucky to work with some pretty smart dealers that may have figured out that gotcha doesn't make people happy.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of them are making sure that people can gain access to those discounts, whether they have anything printed or not.
Right. Yeah. And Rich, you're on mute. Yeah, Richie, what else you got for us?
That's really like a game changer. Like, there's a company, X Time, Cox Automotive owns, and I mean, a lot of those people there don't even understand this whole process, like really, really the biggest thing that I got to say is this: what you're using today is not going to work tomorrow. And what you're using, it ain't going to work the next time. Why is that? Because there's an evolution. And it's easy to get somebody that's used to the phones on text, but it's not easy to get somebody that's a text person to get incoming calls. Trust me, that's a whole different animal.
Truth.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal. You can't take one of Lee's kids and let them get on the phone and make a living on the phone. Thing.
Yeah.
But you take a phone person that's good on the phones and put him on a text, and then he can start getting used to that process.
Right.
Sure.
And the problem is, what is the average age of a service advisor? You look at average age nationwide, you're looking 26 years old. And you got okay, 26 years old, and you got them answering phone calls. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky if they know what a VCR is. Yeah.
Really? I mean, the average service advisor is 26 years old. I want people to think about this.
Yeah.
Think about this thing here that what we're doing, okay? Then you got a combination of press 2 for service, and you wonder why this process is not working. Now, wait a minute, Mr. Dealer. I want you to think about it and digest it. Why the hell is not working? And by the way, I'll be in Colorado the entire summer into the fall, okay? By the way, going dealer to dealer and going to that market to see if I can make sense. Well, hold on a minute. I want people to think about this, the audience. Think about the average service advisor is 26 years old, 27, okay? Now, you could expect him to take the phone calls. We have a solution for you to increase your ROI in service, increase your CSI in service, and increase your overall CSI, Mr. Dealer, at a very low cost. What does VinSight cost? Or IVIN, could you tell me, Jeff?
Yeah. VinSight, subscription of VinSight is $9.99 a month plus $1 per vehicle sold. So if you sell $100 vehicles a month, that's $99 plus $100.
Okay. So let's say $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Sure.
So 12,000 a year.
Yeah.
You're retaining your customer. You know your customer is being taken care of. Oh, by the way, and we also have all the data of your dealership, of the engagement, so you can see if it makes sense to you, Mr. Dealer. Now, I want these dealers to start thinking about that. If you feel you're getting into a coma, call me.
Yeah. Yeah. And
if I'm a dealer and I hear this, I will lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing that racks my brain every time we talk about this. VinSight now offers the Shop Smart Autos, the VIN retention report.
Yep.
They can take a look at every dealership can take a look initially at what kind of retention numbers they're looking at. And a lot of these dealerships are losing 50, 60, 70, 80% of their customers.
Yeah.
To other dealerships, to private sales, to auction, whatever it is, they're bleeding customers. If VinSight costs $1,000 and you start retaining 1 or 2 customers more a month, you're more than covering the cost of VinSight. Not to mention, you're probably going to, if you're losing 1, 2, 300 customers a month to dealerships and auction sites and private sales, people selling it on the street, the VIN retention report can show you that. It can show you where your cars went, and you're probably going to be saving 15, 20 cars potentially a month if you're losing hundreds.
The truth is, retaining 1 customer pays for it.
Right.
One referral that converts will pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, the value for the cost is really high. And I think that retention is what it's all about to us. It's differentiated in experience. So if you can, you've got to compete on price and on the quality of your work, but the experience that you can give your customers is what they're going to talk about. And in this case, we're putting a tool in your customers' hands that's going to build loyalty and trust over time by providing value. Right. And that trust and loyalty transfers to you, the dealership. So it's all focused on the dealership, bringing that customer back to the service drive.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That is killer. And anything else, Jeff, that you wanted to add to the mix before we
the last thing I'll say is that we're moving forward with our Xtime integration. so that we'll be able to understand dealership service bay availability and inject service appointments directly through any dealership that uses Xtime. So, but what we did first was integrate with DriveCentric, and we think there's a lot of potential there because a dealership wants the CRM to be a central point for all the things happening with their customer, and when they were touched and how. And you got to think about chatting with artificial intelligence. Every interaction is not memorable, but what we're using artificial intelligence to analyze the conversations that are happening and analyze them for frequency of occurrence or sentiment of urgency. And when we see that there's a pattern of activity, we can report that up to a CRM, and we can say, hey, you know what, 3 times in the last 2 weeks, this person has asked about their warranty coverage, and we think reaching out would probably be a good idea. And we can put a note into the CRM that activates somebody at the dealership to look at this customer at the right time based on signals we're detecting.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that differentiates VinSight, is that we're trying to put the AI to use for the consumer and put it in their hands,
Right.
Have it provide value for them, have them see that they get to use the power of AI. It isn't that VinSight's using the power of AI to analyze them. It's that they get to use the power of AI to surface useful information about their car and their deal and their relationship with the dealership. And so when we provide that value, we build that trust, and that trust transfers to the dealership.
Yeah. No,
So-
that's tremendous. It's tremendous. Yeah. It's like buying you buy an engagement ring for someone and you barely hear from anyone. And then the next thing you hear is about the next piece of jewelry that they want you to buy instead of, did you bring your engagement ring in to be cleaned?
Yeah.
No, we'll clean it for free. Then sell me when I walk in the door. Don't smash me with more diamonds and gold and come on, it's the last thing on my mind after you make a $5,000 purchase. No, it's the timeliness and the nurturing process is just, it's so important, and it's so rare.
Yep.
So
that's
rare.
it. And it differentiates you. If you blanket your customers, blast your customers, they turn it off. And if you differentiate yourself by nurturing the customer and giving them trustworthy interactions, that's when they'll come back to you. And it's worth a lot. The lifetime value of a customer is enormous, and it's worth a lot. It's worth investing in.
Yeah, tremendous. And Richie, on a final note, let data take the wheel. Still rocking on Amazon, doing well. StopSoldierSuicide.org, right? It's 100% now of the proceeds, right?
What's funny is, I gotta say something. So Katie, she's doing something for a nonprofit, has to do with suicide, and all these dealers and all these people and all this nonsense that happens. And this is why I got involved with the veterans, because I got tired of dealers promoting veterans only when it's convenient for them and taking their money. And I can mention 4 or 5 big auto groups that do that kind of bullshit. And I sent out an email for people to donate for her cause, all right, which has to do with suicide, okay? And not one person has done anything. But then again, they talk all this nonsense. Let me tell you, Memorial Weekend, they promote the vets. That's the worst time for a veteran. The worst time. You don't know what they dealt with. I do, because I've been 10 years doing this thing with the vets. The worst time. And dealers promote for Veterans Day. Veterans are welcome, this, that, all this nonsense without really knowing what they went through that day, that they lost their buddies. They lost people that started with them in boot camp.
Yeah.
Okay. And talk about fireworks. That was fireworks. And it's like a whole thing. And
Yeah.
but they won't give $1. All you got to give is $5 or $2 to this organization. I'm about to do my own podcast, live show about this bullshit, okay? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like real nonsense, and it's tiring already.
Yeah.
And the book's doing great. I don't know if dealers just buy that or people, whoever the hell's buying it, just because they know that whatever, like the way I am, like it
Ask
will
Ivan.
in about 2 seconds. I'm suicidal.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm just tired of the bullshit with the vets. I really
No,
am.
of course. I also don't like Happy Memorial Day.
These
Like-
guys have literally commit. You know, the percentage is over 70% of vets are committing suicide. That's why that book is donated to the whole thing.
Yeah.
That because there has to be some sort of resources for our vets to serve, come here and kill themselves. There has to be something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what is this? What government or somebody do something? We're talking about 70%.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Talented, one of the most talented people you've ever met because they've been highly trained.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also has a lot to do with, I think, with the way we communicate. It's like, you know, I'm hoping to God that down the road there won't be any 9/11 sales. You know, save more money on your car this 9/11. You know, happy 9/11 day. You know, but we kind of treat everything like it's a happy, happy Memorial Day. And I'm like, is it happy? You know, or it's like celebrating the day someone dies in your family. A birthday, happy birthday. I'll miss you in heaven. You know, but happy death day, you would never do that. And it's like these people gave their lives for our country, and we communicate about it and make, great sales on beds. It's a really strange
By the
concept.
way, I had back in my early years a 911 sale way before 9/11.
Oh,
94, 94, 93, 92. But what it meant was $9 down.
Yeah.
$1 a month up to 1 month. That's what it meant.
911 emergency.
That my friends at Calvary way before 9/11. 93, 94, 95, up to 98.
Yeah.
$9 down, $1 a month up to 1 month. 9/11 sale. Because 9/11 was always like an emergency thing, right? So use that. But once that happened, that's it. You know what I mean? I ended that campaign probably 98, 99.
Right.
Yeah. So, it was like that was a big campaign. And I see today people do that same campaign and they don't understand that the rest of the world doesn't understand back in 90 when that campaign existed, because that campaign was hotter than a pistol at one time.
Yeah.
Direct mail piece with inserts, saturation marketing, you rock with that campaign. Yeah. Okay. And a lot of people don't understand that and they keep using it today, but they don't really know what that campaign was.
Yeah. And that goes for most things, and I'm not,
it had nothing to do. He's right about communication. It had nothing to do with 9/11.
Yeah. Well, we all know
$9 down, $1 a month up to 1 month. That's what I have to do with.
We all know when, and I'm not preaching in any way, shape, or form here. Watch the hat. But we all know Jesus. He was all about chocolate bunnies and Easter eggs, right? So that's why on Easter that's what we do. And when we wonder why our kids have absolutely no clue as to why Easter isn't just Christmas part 2.
Right. Correct. Yeah. That's a communication.
Yeah. Well, how did I get off on that tangent? Well, anyway,
because we're all on tangents. That's all.
Yeah. Jeff, it is awesome having you on the show again. Always look forward to it and look forward to it again in the future.
Yeah, me too.
And Richie, as always, thank you for having me by your side.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
And I look forward to this whole thing with Vinsight.
Yeah.
Dealers are ready. I think they're really ready for this. All right. God bless you guys. Enjoy your time today. Take care, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Catch you later. Have a good one.